Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Heroes of the Storm Fall Regional here for North America, as we've just finished our first series of the day. Niantic moving on 2-0, and just a little bit we'll be seeing this team, Denial eSports, going up against Murloc Geniuses to figure out who is going to be joining them in the winners match. I am joined on the couch once again by Mr. Dunk Train and of course Solidus Jakius. How are you doing, my friend?
Solidus Jakius. That is a wondrous title. Thanks. Two of the best podcast hosts here in the country. I mean...
In the country, of course, not internationally. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Maybe the universe, to be fair.
All right. I mean, I'm busy. I'm a busy guy. What can you tell me? All right, so, of course, we had our previous series with Astral Authority going up against Niantic. We didn't quite get to mention too much about our second game there, of course. But overall, Niantic coming into this tournament strong, showing that they are going to be a force to be reckoned with here.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get to see Niantic play the qualifiers, obviously, since they did get that auto-qualification spot to this event. So they came in, they were favorites coming in.
Yep.
First seed coming in, 8th seed Astral, just really one-sided games. And that's showing us that Niantic is on form today. So the winner of this match is going to have their work cut out for them.
I mean, as Dunk Train said, we didn't really get to see them in the qualifiers. Tomster gelling in with the team here. We haven't really seen that roster as a whole, with Tomster kind of stepping up and joining that. How do you think he kind of meshed with the team there in that series, Jake?
I mean, we saw him on the Tassadar. We've seen Tomster in multiple roles, but just in the flex role in general, he looks really comfortable. I was more interested in just seeing Fan really committing towards that full melee, because in the past we've seen Fan, very strong on like the Li Ming, and as soon as they drafted Li Ming, I'm like, oh man, his Li Ming is legendary. It's going to be dangerous. But they threw a big impact on the Li Ming, and they made it work very well.
Yeah, I mean, Fan Sonya was a beast there. He's always been known as one of those players who flexes really well from range to melee. Sometimes in the same series, he'll go back and forth. So he just played really well there, and the whole team had a lot of synergy in knowing when to engage and how far to push themselves. And it just really showed they are an international caliber team, especially compared to Astral Authority.
All right, well, we're moving on now. We're going to get looking at the second series from this group here in Group A, of course. And let's start things off with Denial eSports, as, of course, we have Mr. King Caffeine, Prismaticism, Glaurung K1 Pro, and APM to start things off here. And it's a team, basically, of all-stars across the board. I mean, of course, Prismaticism and APM aren't quite as well known as the others, but Dunk Train, you know a whole lot about these guys.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have been playing with K1 and King Caffeine for over a year, almost 2 years now. So those guys are just going to be an amazing backbone for the team. We see King Caffeine here. He is always so calm, super collected. No matter how stressful this tournament gets, he will be the backbone of this team no matter what.
It's weird not seeing him in blue. It's a different look, a different color for the calf.
It's a different look, but Denial, this is their grand entry into Heroes of the Storm.
Yes.
I mean, a new sponsor here for the North America scene, which is great, and they're here to make them proud. I mean, obviously the stakes are high. Like you've mentioned, this is in fact a new squad, but Glaurung, K1, King Caffeine, all home names here in Heroes of the Storm, but with APM and Prismat joining in, it could be dangerous.
And of course, our second team, Murloc Geniuses here, with 4 members of Murloc Geniuses and Sam on loan from Panda Global to start things off. I almost said Panda Express. I've got Panda Express on the brain. But of course, it is Murloc Geniuses here, and with Cthulhu and of course Caterpillar previously being of the original Murloc Geniuses roster, they're back. And to be fair, I think a lot of people think they're in form right now.
Yeah, I think this team is going to be sweet. I mean, we saw Fury was playing so incredibly well with GFE at the last North American Regional.
Right.
It was actually a huge surprise that he has moved teams now, and on this Murloc Geniuses squad, I think he's going to be very beneficial to them because he has always been a fantastic tank player. So this roster definitely have high hopes for it, especially Psalm. We saw some amazing Medivh play in the qualifiers.
Yep.
I would love to see more of that, because it's so much fun to watch.
Just think back to that Medivh Sonya, the combo that we saw. Sonya looks absolutely unkillable, going that whirlwind style with that big shield to heal him up in the late game. And, they have some tricks up their sleeves, that's for sure.
And of course, they've got a new member in June, of course, who has come in as a support here, who is... It's his first LAN. It's his first LAN, his first stage here to try and prove himself and try and push through here for Murloc Geniuses. What do you expect from him? Do you have high hopes for him, Dunk? What do you think as a sport player yourself?
Yeah, I think he's really going to rise to the occasion here. We've seen him online be an absolute monster, so well at timing and positioning on these support plays. It was super clutch. So I think in this situation, he's going to thrive. He's got a good team around him. Cattle, Fury, those are solid guys They're going to make sure he's level-headed. He's going into this tournament. He's prepared. And I think he's actually going to play really well.
And generally, when you have a new player like that coming to their first LAN, you see this kind of LAN jitters in them just in the first couple days of preparation.
Yep.
He is cool as a cucumber. He looks confident. He looks ready to play. I don't see any kind of anxiousness or nervousness around him at all.
All right, well, we shall see, of course, here as they are going up against a strong team in Denial Esports. Make sure to join the conversation, as always, here with the hashtag HGC and at ESL_Heroes, as well as at Heroes Esports. Make sure to tweet us who you think is going to win these series, of course, as well. We saw the predictions for our last series, and it was like 86% in favor of Naventic going over Astral Authority, so we'd love to hear some of your predictions as well out there. Likewise, I mean, coming into this series, what are you anticipating, boys? Because Denial Esports going up against Murloc Geniuses, I think a lot of people would tout Denial Esports as probably the favorite coming in, but there is still a lot of power behind Murloc Geniuses' roster, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, Denial, it just has those big names. King Caffeine,
Star
K1
power.
Pro, Glaurung. Everyone knows those names. They've been in the scene for a long time. They're all star players on their respective teams. Cloud9 and Glaurung on Cognitive was always amazing. So everyone was like, oh, roster apocalypse, what's the team that's going to get made from what was left of Cloud9, right? And that turned out to be Denial. I think APM has fit in super well. But Murloc Geniuses has a lot of players that have been around a long time too, and I think they are also really strong. So these are probably two of the best contenders for that third, fourth slot, if not top two at this event.
And the other thing about Murloc Geniuses is they're a team that's all about creativity. They can bust out crazy strats. You already mentioned Medivh, and we saw some really powerful play out of them. But who knows what they haven't shown us yet. They definitely have been going in for those unique strategies. I mean, I remember back to the double promote beta many, many tournaments ago where they took games off you guys back in the Cloud9 era. And it's definitely a team that likes to innovate as much as they can.
Right, okay, well, we'll see. Of course, moving forwards, the Double Warrior thing is a topic that has come up time and time again. Denial Esports on their side, are they going to be a team that kind of incorporate that Double Warrior? Likewise, is Murloc Genius able to do that? Well, we're already getting into the draft, so I'm not even going to let you answer that question. We are already in, and it's Tyrael bans. I don't know whether I'm happy or sad that he's getting this much prioritization. I just want to see my beloved Tyrael.
Yeah, I mean, Tyrael just top tier hero. We saw him get banned in the last set, used in the first game to great effect. Not surprising. The Falstad ban as well. A lot of teams are banning that right now as second pick. They do not want to give up that global pressure, assassin, huge disengage, especially on a big map like Towers of Doom. So Denial Esports first picking the ETC. We didn't see that much prioritization on ETC in the last set, although Murloc Geniuses following up with the Greymane Uther, amazing combination. Really early support pick though from them.
It's interesting. I mean, maybe they're just scared of the Divine Mosh and going for Uther very early on. Do you think this could set... I mean, Lunara is kind of rising in popularity, and seeing an Uther that early, do you think this could be just kind of like an early Lunara pick as a response?
Yeah, I definitely think that's an option for Denial, because they only have ETC's pick so far. Murloc Geniuses has already shown Greymane Uther. The thing about Greymane Uther, you need to hard engage on your opponents to get value. Those are super, super powerful effects. But if Denial can just play the runaway game, if they can just poke them out on the shrine captures, then it's going to be hard for Murloc Geniuses to get into range and effectively apply this Greymane damage. So I think maybe not here for the Lunara, wait, make Murloc Geniuses commit a little bit more to the hard engage, and then in your last two slots, pick up that Lunara and just crush the solo Uther healer.
Do they want to take one of this a support here, considering there's the potential that Murloc Geniuses powers them out of something like that with the second ban coming up, since they already have their Uther?
Yeah, I mean, we can see they even picked the Tassadar, so that's pretty much hedging your bet so that, woo-hoo-hoo, the 10,000 years of hatred. We are seeing an Illidan in this draft. Now, Denial has Glaurung, who is known as the Illidan and Zeratul guy, one of the few who just really loves those heroes, and picking that super early. I mean, we don't see that prioritized very heavily in drafts lately, and I'm wondering what Murloc Geniuses is going to do to respond to this, because Denial, they already have the ETC, so you can't counter with that. They have the Tassadar, huge synergy with the Illidan. Murloc Geniuses is going to have to figure out how they can lock down this Illidan and actually control him in the team fights.
So what I'm worried about here is we've actually seen on similar masters, Lunara ban, very smart. If Sonya makes it through here, I would see Murloc going for that Sonya for just, very, like you said, dive. Get in their face, do a lot of damage. And then, you know, Medivh isn't out of the question. We've seen them use that Medivh.
Yeah, the Medivh ban.
Okay.
Making it hard for us to see the Medivh this game, Jake, since he's banned out. Obviously, in scrims, Denial must have seen some spicy plays on this map with Medivh. Hopefully we'll get to see those later, but the Medivh ban, I mean, that definitely weakens the Sonya pick, which was a reasonable option here. It's good against Illidan. It would have been great here. Sonya Medivh, you mentioned how powerful that synergy is. So I like that ban by Denial, but I'm wondering if the Sonya can get it done anyway, if Murloc Geniuses picks it here.
Johanna being picked up to start things off. Seems like Denial Esports' ban repertoire as a whole is ban out all the hooded miscreants as quickly as possible for the side of Murloc Geniuses.
Yeah, this is interesting, though, because this does remind me of that match we saw in the qualifiers where they did go the Medivh, the Sonya, the Johanna, I believe it was Uther, and then the last assassin might have been Greyman, I can't remember exactly. But regardless, that's been shaken up without the Medivh here. Tassadar already taken on the side of Denial, so what else do they have up their sleeve? Lone support Uther is definitely viable. Lunara is off the table, so they're going to have to make some adjustments here. And it looks like they're just going to try to go standard. Yes, the Greymane, Li Ming can pair very nicely together, but in terms of lane clear right now, it's okay, but I'm really worried that Denial is going to be able to get the better end for just the control on the fights.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Denial's kind of running the show here so far. I mean, that ETC Illidan is really scary. They have a lot of catch and pick potential in the early game especially, and Johanna doesn't quite set up for Li Ming that well outside of the Blessed Shield cooldown. So Denial is basically going to have Illidan dodging all of Li Ming's spells unless Johanna lands a clean Blessed Shield combo into Li Ming and Greymane follow-up.
I mean, Johanna as a whole is somewhat of a disruption against an Illidan, and there's the blind, there's the condemn, so it kind of disrupts a little bit of what he wants to do, but is it going to be enough? Because Denial Esports is going to have so much support behind it. There'll be Tassadar, probably a Rehgar behind that as well to help out the Illidan, and then whatever else damage they want. So this is quite the scary comp.
Yeah, and Kael'thas is still up even. If Denial Esports wants that, they can get the dreaded ETC Kael'thas synergy going, which definitely seems like a possibility.
Yeah.
Although he has a hard time following up on the Illidan chase sometimes.
So I was talking to K1 Pro, and he was talking about how he loves Jaina and think Jaina's kind of an underestimated hero in this meta, which is a hero that's been out of the meta for quite a while. So I would love to see it here. I don't know if it's necessarily the right composition or the right scenario, but still, they're willing to play it. And that means that, you know, considering they need a ranged assassin, they're just going to go for Sylvanas. Okay.
Yeah, I would have loved to see the Jaina there as well, Jake. She just synergizes so well with the Illidan Tassadar. That's a slow fight composition, and Jaina will lock down the opponents so they can never escape Illidan. But Sylvanas, just going for that PvE orientation, you want to be able to get the map objectives.
Is it not only a great choice for them as a, for the map, being able to push, etc., but also not too bad to deny from Murloc Genius' side, because Wailing Arrow could be a big hindrance to an Illidan when almost all of their eggs are in the Illidan basket.
Yeah, absolutely. A clutch Wailing Arrow timing onto the supports can be death for an Illidan. So I do like that, especially because Sylvanas, with that Windrunner talent, the double E, you just dive into the backline with your Illidan and you're not even in danger. You can E back out immediately. So I actually really like that composition because they're going to have so much chase potential. Rehgar, Tassadar, ETC, Illidan, all of these heroes are very fast. And if Murloc Geniuses gets caught out on Denial's side of the map, there's no way they're going to get back to their base.
Well, Murloc, they have that final pick, and they're actually going to go for Lili. Clarence, how does it feel? Are you excited?
It feels my insanity all over again. It's a way. It's Blind City. So I mean, it kind of makes, as we were saying, there are a lot of eggs in the Illidan basket. Keep him blinded, keep him out of there, try and do as much to deny it as possible. And it has worked. And we have seen it traditionally work in recent times.
There aren't a lot of stuns. We got the Wailing Arrow, we have the Power Slide, the Mosh Pit, but if she does decide to go for Cups, it's going to get a lot of value because it can't really stop it. Water Dragon is good against Illidan, definitely an option here, but as odd as Lili might seem here, it is a pretty intelligent pick. What do you think, Dunk?
Yeah, I'm not sold on the Lili pick myself, guys. I have to be completely honest. I would like to see a Water Dragon, and like you mentioned, Dugs would get value here, but I just feel like it's going to be hard for them to lock down the Illidan and kill him. Like you said, they have blinds, they have Condemn, but that's an annoyance to Illidan. He really shakes those things off. He doesn't care. He's just going to keep diving
Lili's the one that has shaken off.
Well played, well played. Continue, Dunk. Just ignore him.
Okay, I'll try. It can be tough sometimes, guys. But yeah, I mean, the Illidan, he doesn't really have any threats. Like, if he dodges the Li Ming combo, who's going to kill him? Greymane can't keep up with an Illidan diving onto another ally on his team. So as long as Illidan doesn't get burst comboed, he's going to be just fine.
All right, well, we shall see if this is going to work. It's definitely an interesting little bit of a comp setup as a whole. It's actually funny as how we've seen the progression of Illidan come out in drafts as well. Oftentimes, when you see it first picked, it's so easily countered by a lot of things that come along. When you see it mid-picked, we see it like this, where you try and kind of slowly craft things around it to deal with it. You're saying that you don't have too much faith in the Lili, but with the amount of blinds Johanna and Lili have between them, even a Nutha stun can actually cause quite a bit of disruption if Illidan's going that far in. I'm kind of up in the air on these compositions, to be honest with you.
You're talking about Uther Stun. Divine Storm was a classic response to Illidan for a long time. And when you're running double support, suddenly that becomes a pretty enticing option. So I really wouldn't be too surprised if we do see that shaken up here. I mean, they're not trying to engage hard. Yes, the Divine Shield is great for the Gray Man, especially when it decides to go deep. But it is something on the table they do have at their arsenal.
I actually would love to see Divine Storm here. I hadn't even considered that just because nobody in competitive seems to run it anymore. But I love it in Hero League. It's just amazing for punishing those divers. And if you do see Divine Storm come out, that Illidan suddenly has to play way more defensively because it's so much more stun combo.
Right, and also something that actually kind of, I would say, reinforces that point a little bit is that Lili, when she takes jugs, is normally going to be very, very careful about the potential of just being stunned out of it and getting no value at all. But now when I look at the composition of Denial, they really don't have that many stuns. As we now go into game number 1 between them, we do have to the left, it will be Murloc Geniuses with Jun on Uther, Sam on Li Ming, Cthulhu on Lili, Fury on Johanna, and Caterpillar on Greymane. And to the right-hand side, of course, is Denial eSports, with Illidan playing Glaurung, being played by Glaurung. ETC will play by King Caffeine, Sylvanas, K1 Pro, Prismaticism on Tassadar, and APM will be playing Rhaegar. So, we are going to send it over to the casters to give us game number 1 here between Denial eSports and Murloc Geniuses. Take it away, Gilly and Dread.
Thank you, Kylaris and Dread. I hear you're more of a Lili fan lately. Is that true?
I am a believer. I stuttered over that one. I tried, guys. I tried. I'm not so much in this match. I'm a little bit torn. I don't think they have the sustained TPS to justify the double blind strategy that they're going for. Li Ming is a little bit too high risk, I think, so far in this matchup, which we talked a little bit on the panelists overall. But yeah, I've gained more faith in her than I've had in the past, surely over some of the qualifiers that we've seen recently.
Well, Cotton is going for more of the Lightning, the Cloud Serpent build, picking up Timeless Creature at 1. We've seen a bit of a deviation from that build, especially in Europe. The few times that we had Lili was building more into the Blinding One, but it looks like we're going to be sticking with the, if you could say standard, because it's Lili, but the standard Lili build that we do see whenever she pops her little panda head out.
Yeah, both these teams already going blow for blow, using the Sylvanas to try and take out the front walls. Murloc Geniuses saw this right away and instantly rotated. They actually got on the front wall before Denial eSports so far in this match, so really heads up, understanding the circumstances so far between the two teams. Now they are getting the rotation up there, trying to make sure they get the soak, but getting caught out a little bit.
That's an early Iron Skin, and Caffeine's going to push Fury right back into his team, and that'll be first blood early on for Denial.
Oh, June is getting body blocked as well. Glaurung's going in there, and he's going to be able to get away with this, so a little bit of a poor rotation here coming out from Murloc Geniuses as Denial moves in very aggressively already.
We talked about tournament jitters. That can throw it off even more, so they need to make sure they're taking a deep breath. Don't get too concerned about this, but guys, don't forget, you can let us know who you think will win, and there's a lot of Murgle fans out there. Right now, at least.
So far, it is not enough hype behind Denial eSports so far on the Twitter. But already, that rotation there coming out from Murloc Geniuses set them down about half a level here. And they already have a risky composition. They need to make sure that they play it very effectively in their rotations. Meanwhile, on the bottom half of the map, Caterpillar getting caught out there. Ray Hunting Wave be able to disable a little bit. Not going to cost him his life. But Denial has had full control. But the counter's response coming out from Murloc.
That is, once again, Iron Skin used to pull in ETC. Wow. And that'll be a kill. Turning it back around. Prismaticism, low in health, has shielded himself. And there's his dimensional shift. So he gets out with just a sliver of health.
Yeah, he's going to be able to survive that situation. And they are backing out. So they go 1 for 1 in that trade. Triple Shrine is going to spawn, but don't worry. We are going to have ETC up during that time, so let's see who makes these rotations. Lili's pretty effective in a 1v1 for the most part. She can really hold her own when it comes to the delay, so we'll see where these teams rotate. It looks like they're posturing for the upper half of the map on the side of Denial. Actually, for all the teams, we're making the rotation there. Denial is moving on bottom and set here, and we see Murloc Geniuses trying to figure out where they are, get the delay with Johanna.
It looks like they want to just trade out each for their top shrines. Sylvanas picking up one, Som grabbing the other on Li Ming. The action, though, is happening in the bottom over that second one now as people will start to rotate down. We have a 3 versus 3 with everyone else making their way to this point. So they're just going to stall out safely where they can until everybody gets to this point.
Yeah, and Kathan is taking a bit of harass. Really good job from Psalm there, getting damage onto Glarong. So it's going to be the skirmish. Early game skirmishing for Denial is pretty big here, but Glarong's taking a bit of harass. Expect King to go in relatively soon. That's a... oh, man, I thought he was going to power slide for sure. Kathan now getting a bit lower. June is getting the channel as well. No inter... oh, good job getting the interrupt there. Glarong now moving in, but we do have the double blind composition here, Gilly.
Yeah, double blinds, and that's making it pretty tough. They don't stall this out, and Murloc's pick up 2 of the 3 altars that respond here. Also looking for a kill potentially as several members of Denial are getting pretty low. And that's the thing, there is double support on both sides. Murlocs have heals from both Uther and Lily, so they can stay pretty healthy and keep up with the double heals on the side of Denial too, and they'll even get a kill.
That was really big for them, denying that camp there and getting a pickup. The momentum now going in the favor of Murloc Geniuses. They've done really well so far. And you talk about the double support composition, but what we have to keep in mind is Tassadar is the enabling sense of double support, right? He wants to enable Illidan to become an absolute legend, use the utility that he provides to stop the run, the escape from his opponents.
Right.
But Lily is the other way around. She's like 1v1 me, bro. She's like, let's get that skirmish going, because she has a lot of harass when it comes to the teamfight survivability. She's more of that kind of brawler, and really Illidan has to be very effective in these teamfights, otherwise Lily might become too hard to deal with.
Right, with picking up Tassadar and Rhaegar, Denial have put a lot of eggs in the Illidan basket. So if these blinds continue to be timed out correctly between Cawthon and Fury, then that could be just so much difficulty for Denial. You can see blinds just constantly from them to allow Caterpillar to get out of here, despite the fact that they were 2 versus 3 in that engagement.
Yeah, we do see Glarong getting a little bit aggressive in the upper half here. He will be able to dodge out though. But solid harass coming out here. Both the teams now level 7. 2 shrines are going to be spawning here. Let's see what the teams decide to do. In terms of build though, other than Lily going full Serpent so far, everything is pretty normal.
Yeah, and Wizened Duelist has been grabbed for Caterpillar, so he will be trying to stack up that attack damage by making sure that he does not get taken out. So they will be watching to make sure that they keep him safe. Probably then going into Divine Shield. I don't think we're going to see Divine Storm, especially if Wizened Duelist pick up.
Yeah, both the teams trade those shrines, but it's a bit of an advantage here for Murlocs because they do have the half-level lead, winning the race to 10. K1 Pro taking a bit of harass. He is going to Hunting Wave out, but he's going to be maybe stuck. June getting a lot of harass. Fury as well moving in, does get a 3-man condemn. Power Slide coming into play here as a follow-up on the Caterpillar. He will end up probably falling here, but great response on the Caffeine, excuse me. Murloc going in for a 3-man condemn, and that is going to be a 2 for 0 so far in the skirmish. Denial getting that XP soak back.
They've caught right back up in experience, and ETC will get taken out, so that still is a nice little pickup at least for Murloc Geniuses. But both teams are starting to make their way to their heroic abilities, and something you and I were talking about during the draft phase is Murloc Geniuses have a lot of comfort picks here. They're really happy with the draft that they have set up, even if Denial got everything they wanted to. And that's because Fury, I've been talking to him, and he loves playing Johanna. He's like, man, I don't want to play ETC anymore. I'm sick of playing ETC. I love Johanna. Som has been a beast on Li Ming for so long. And I know that June does enjoy playing the Uther, at least is definitely a comfort pick for him. So that's always been a big thing for Murloc Geniuses, and they do have it here in this game.
Yeah, it's interesting how that is going to work out here. They do see the rotations, but one thing I am fearful of when we look at the team fights here is the amount of the amount of threats that exist outside of just the Illidan. Obviously, they built a composition to be able to deal with him, but if they are not able to deal with Caffeine's Mosh Pit, they're going to be in a rough spot. There's going to be the Wailing Arrow as a follow-up as well, so unless they pop a very early condemn, they aren't going to really be able to deal with it. And I think that might be enough for Illidan to thrive in the style comp, even though they built themselves with the double blind, with the double support to try and deal with those long fights. They might not get it if they can't stop that much.
It's such a great point that you make that Illidan doesn't have to be the one to secure kills for them. He just might need to be the distraction for a big Wailing Arrow or that Mosh Pit that can hit a lot of people. And we'll see as this is about to happen, the first team fight, both at level 10. Here comes King Caffeine, slowed down by the Water Dragon, but they know that Mosh Pit is still a potential. Wailing Arrow not really connecting though, and this is slowly becoming better and better for Murloc.
Yeah, so we do see the mosh pit is still available, so that's something that we need Murloc Geniuses to be able to deal with if they're going to take this fight. But with a lot of cooldowns have been burnt for Denial, and the long fights are what Murloc Geniuses is good at. Their composition thrives in these situations. We still do have Ancestral Healing is an option, so Illidan can still really gain a lot of value. But for now, Murloc Geniuses with that double support, but a 2-map power slide. Glorung with the follow-up as well. Stun is the response. Fury's going to be blocked out there with that Tassadar force wall, but we see this skirmishing. Their health bars on the blue side slowly falling over time. Prismat's going to look to get the channel. I think he might have it.
Okay, Iron Skin's been used. There's Blessed Shield just to stall, as well as locks of people down. But they can't go into that choke because Mosh Pit is still available. And that means that Denial are doing a really good job of starting to zone people out of this point.
Yeah, they really are. And we haven't seen Li Ming get any value really so far when it comes to a lot of her poke and harass in these fights. Prismat is going to be getting the channel. Fury trying to be able to get the deny. Pops the Iron Skin. Caffeine is posturing as well to be able to get a Mosh Pit going off here. Lily's going to be stunned out as the Water Dragon is used. And Metamorphosis is already almost back off of cooldown. That's how long the skirmish has happened. And slowly but surely, Denial gets the cap, gonna be able to get the withdrawal, but their team, their health bars are slowly falling over Murloc's.
It was so cool to see King Caffeine waiting and waiting and waiting because he knew the threat, the fear of Mosh Pit was almost as powerful as the Mosh Pit itself because they could not funnel into that choke point to try to stop the cap.
And I think that one of the points that I was talking about that I was fearful with this draft, and I believe I brought up earlier, is just the lack of sustained DPS. Greymane is their only sustain. Li Ming, she can get an immense amount of poke, and if she's able to get a reset, then maybe you'll be able to consider it that. And how long and drawn out that fight is, and that's what they want to get. They got a poor engage on the side of Denial. Murloc was able to disrupt it, and they were in a really pretty situation, but they don't have the sustain. They have to hit a huge orb. Otherwise, it's going to slowly be able to be healed up, and they're going to put themselves in a position where they can't win those long fights. Yes, you can out-heal it, but you're facing another double support as well.
Well, this is a very, very close game on either side. 28-28 in core health and 12-12 in experience. As you can see, Murlocs were able to steal away the Pumpkin Sappers from the side of Denial, and that's very important for them. It's a nice win because of the fact that Sylvanas picked up Mercenary Queen at 1, so they do deal more damage. Yeah,
and you see K1 Pro actually stalling out every one of those saplings before they were able to explode. Really good job from him denying all the damage there, while we see Prismat has been soaking the upper half of the map. 13 is going to be won here for Denial Esports, and the Shrine is now spawning on the bottom half as they round out toward 13.
That's something that Denial does so well. We saw it in the qualifiers. They love their 4-1 splits and will often do it with Prismaticism up in a lane while they have a very good 4-man skirmish composition that they can deal with whatever's happening and kind of just weather out the storm while Prismaticism gets them to the next level. So they are slightly ahead in experience, but Murlocs will have 13 for this fight too.
Yeah, so now they have picked up the 13s, the posturing around the bottom shrine. Again, we need to make sure we keep track of the cooldowns of Denial in this team fight. Fury going up a little bit there, gonna get the blind onto Glorung. Condemned coming into play. So I'm getting pressure though from Glorung. That is not what you want in this style of comp. He cannot be isolated. This Water Dragon coming out as well onto the front line. Now team turning onto Glorung, pops the Metamorphosis, but Fury is already very low here. Power Slide coming in from Caffeine, hitting 2 targets. Fury trying to get with the withdrawal, throws out the Blessed Shield. Huge Ancestral gonna hand it on to Glorung, and they're pulling ahead here.
That'll be what pushes Murloc Geniuses back as they use that Psalm pretty low, even getting hit by the Pumpkin Sappers too. June doing what he can to save him, but he's not able to do that, and that will be the first kill, which means no longer do Denial have to worry about the poke from Li Ming as well as potential resets. They're nice and healthy too. They've started to really be able to shield people up with Tassadar, and they'll win another altar.
Yeah, and Glorung getting onto the backline there with very little resources to help him. I feel like we need to see the Lili concentrating on dealing with wherever Glorung is going. That is the counter response for Lili, right? Not only does it deny maybe a bit of the damage, but also that was the intent of the pick, right? Johanna, she might have to disrupt the backline in some way, shape, or form. You've got the Condemn, you've got the Blessed Shield, but Lili needs to stop worrying about diving the backline where we saw the isolation there and worry about babying your team, keeping them up, and getting harassed into the Illidan there. Glorung getting away with a lot of free value in that last team fight.
Yeah, they really wanted to try to separate Glorung away and slow down. So that's, we saw the Water Dragon on King Caffeine, but even with that, they just in time got Ancestral Healing, and Glau, between that and his Metamorphosis, was able to get through being separated for that long amount of time. So yeah, I think you're right. They do need to just change focus, use Fury more in the backline, and make sure that Lili is hitting Water Dragon onto the Illidan.
Yeah, Glorung is, like, when you look at even the heroics that were used, actually Prismat getting caught out, go for the throw, it's going to be used there.
And Blessed Shield.
And so cooldown's going to be on cooldown. Well, imagine that for a short period of time here. But for now, it's breathing room. Murloc has a moment to try and come back here into this matchup here. Bell towers are sitting dead even for the most part. But I've just been surprised how passive this has been. That last team fight, only 2 heroics were used, I feel like almost the entire fight so far. And it's really just kind of been a dance of like who can sustain the longest. And for the most part, Denial's won that fight.
Right. That's pretty standard double support versus double
yeah.
support for sure. Is a very long, drawn-out, sustain-heavy fight. But you're right, Denial slowly eking ahead. They've got 4 extra core health, I guess, so not too much. Murlocs are really still in this game. And Murlocs also, it's their Battleground pick. They have for a long time been really good on Towers of Doom, so I don't think they're feeling the strain too much here, even though they might be just slightly behind.
So now we see the triple Shrine phase spawning. We have a lot of pressure coming out from Denial on the upper half as well with the saplings. Skirmish happening onto the bottom half. This will be a 4 versus 4 for now. Glowing trying to decide if he wants to get in there. And again, I think a lot of it's going to come down to the Lili play, channeling on the upper half of the map. So this is Psalm taking the harass again. Nobody's able to deal with him. Metamorphosis support, Caterpillar very low, using Eyes in the Dark to try and get able to get away. He manages to do it. Glowing getting the dash in. Fury is stuck on the other side of the wall. The 3-man Wailing Arrow is going to be able to hit Gilly.
Oh, and they took down Johanna too. The Wailing Arrow has made a lot of people low, but they get back. There's the Water Dragon on K1 Pro, slowing him down, and Cattle's right back in this. Sylvanas goes down. It's a 1-for-1. Divine Shield is on Cattle, and they're forcing Ancestral to be used on King Caffeine.
And that Ancestral being used on him means Glowing is now susceptible. He's getting the dash out. 2-man Mosh Pit as a counter response. A lot of pressure going on to the Grey Mane there, but he will be able to survive. There's not many resources for Caffeine at this point. Bottom is still up, so the channel here started by Prismat. You see Psalm making the rotation here. I believe Murloc is going to be able to pick this up, so what looked like a pretty rough team fight for them end up turning it around, and this game is almost dead even so far at this point if they manage to get that channel. Prismat does get a good delay though.
The synergy between June and Cattle. Cattle was like, I'm going for it. Here we go. Divine Shield came out.
Yeah.
And they were able to turn that around where, like you said, it didn't look good. But Murloc's bringing it back in this. Caught back up in core health. And they're going to be able to get 16-2, even potentially stealing away Pumpkin Sappers to, again, limit the push that Denial are getting with the Sylvanas pick.
This match is almost dead even.
Yeah.
16-16. 20-20 when it comes to shots on the court. No bell towers influential towards one team or the other. Trying to get the clear on these saplings. K1 Pro is going to make that pretty easy work with Disable. Actually doesn't get the Disable there on only the last one, so the fort falling very low. And I think Murloc is actually not even going to worry about forcing that fight in that situation. They're going to actually take it later. If they manage to win a team fight, clean it up, that's free shots for them. Not have to worry about it being recaptured. But Denial now moving aggressive through the chokehold. No Mosh available. Water Dragon going to hit 2 people. This is a questionable call for Denial.
Yeah, and we may be seeing some panic in their play from this, knowing that it's maybe closer than they thought it was going to be. That is one thing. The one game they lost versus Fox in the qualifiers, you could see a little panic here and there from their play, the positioning, maybe not taking the correct engagements. So we'll have to see if, we'll have to wait and see if they're going to start showing that, or if maybe they just really felt like they could steal those away. They at least didn't die off of them.
Yeah, no, they definitely played patient. They understand the situation. Glorong now getting in, taking a lot of damage. Cleanse coming out onto him. 2-man Wailing Arrow. That's a lot of heroics used here. Cattle's taking a lot of pressure. Divine Shield with the disengage for him. That is a rough spot to be in. Fury now feeling the wrath of Glorong as he dives in over to him. Gilly, Caffeine trying to get the flank.
Yeah, there was one Shrink Ray used. We actually have 2 between Lili and Uther. Fury caught in a very tough spot. No Divine Shield to save her. So that will be the first kill. But Murlocs have been able to turn it before. You see Psalm aggressively teleporting in. Here goes Cattle. Again, no Divine Shield. They are taking a lot of damage, using Wave of Force to push back Denial, but still no kill just yet.
Oh!
Finally, they get the Sylvanas.
He got the go for the throw, ended up turning this around 4-4. The health bars on the side of Murlocs are very low. Glorong is trying to ward them off of what is the shrine spawn. It's 2 shrines up here, both the teams even when it comes to the bell towers. The health bars with the tap is now slowly rising for Murlocs. When it comes to death timers, Johanna is up very much faster than Sylvanas, so if they're able to get the delay here, it's going to be a pretty spot. Lili moving to the bottom half, trying to get the channel. Nobody's going to be able to interrupt. Cattle is now going in very aggressively, even in a 3 versus 4. Eyes in the Dark, trying to get the disengage away from his teammates. June getting the block here. June needs to die if they're going to stand a chance. There goes the Mosh Pit hitting one target, Water Dragon as well. So maybe biting off a little bit more than they can chew here, but they turn it around again. Heals coming out now from the Uther clone. What is happening, Gilly?
Johanna is channeling in the mid too. They've been able to somehow do this 3 versus 4. Yeah, they lost. They're going to take out Glorong too.
Wow.
Oh.
What just happened? And she's getting the response. Blessed Shield coming into play now. Fury is trying to make something happen here. So I'm running low on mana, and I don't think Chthon has the burst necessarily to deal with the situation. They confirm what is another bell tower into their favor. Shots like 20-12, but the skirmish is not over. They are on the aggressive here. What just happened?
don't know. They 3v4'd. They put Lily in the bottom. She came up, she had heals. It looked bad with the mosh, but the reactions to be able to bring in, having Johanna come back in too, finally, Murlocs knowing exactly how to split up and knowing what they can do with that split.
Yeah, and Garan got really hyphy trying to turn that trade a bit in his favor and got punished quite heavily. Not only, even if he traded blow for blow there, I don't know if I would have considered that worth in that type of situation. So risking his life and then great outplay on the side of Murloc Geniuses so far, but now they are, for the first time in this match, have we seen a team kind of pull ahead. XP relatively close to one another. The race to 20 will be, I mean, I don't feel like any team can get it over one another unless they confirm a kill, but they do have an 8-shot advantage here on even bell towers.
There's a couple really important talent picks that were grabbed too for Murloc Geniuses at 16. Imposing Presence will help so much. If Johanna has been targeted as she has been for a lot of this game, that's going to be able to slow down those attack speeds. Also, Righteous Defense for Uther, we're starting to see it a lot more. That's going to grant resistance off of the Holy Light too, so that can help make sure that Caterpillar could be even more aggressive for his team.
And with how long these fights have been, it's going to gain them a lot of value. Garan going in very aggressively, taking a lot of damage and pops the Metamorphosis already. Water Dragon as a counter response. Garan is deleted already in this fight. That's going to be a reset here as they move aggressively onto this team. K1 Pro now in the response. That is a cleanse already used. He's taking a lot of damage. Two-man mosh pit, or one-man, excuse me. That's going to cost Cattle. Not his life. Duke gets the D-shield. Ancestral's going to hit it. But Gelly, they are leading this fight slowly but surely. Denial seems to be falling.
This is damage control at this point. Sansa's getting reset after reset. 3 down for Murloc Geniuses, and they're trying to chase down King Caffeine. They've zoned them off. They have 2 shrines still available as soon as they finish this fight too. And it's going to be a long, long road for Denial Esports if they want to even try to contest those.
Yeah, so we do see that Caffeine is able to survive. 3 men are already down. Race to 20 on the side of Murlocs. This is going to be a free double channel for them. That's going to be 8 more shots moving onto the core, leaving 4 remaining. Boss is now a threat.
It is.
It could be the win condition here moving on to this map. I am so impressed with how well Murloc has been able to take these fights so far. And just that focus on the Glong. He took 1 dash and was like, nah, we ain't having that today. It's just, no, just delete him.
I'm hearing some cheers of excitement from Murlocs. They're going to the boss. Prismaticism sees this. But do they fight? They have to fight.
There's no much. There's no much. They can't do this team fight. It's 5 versus 3 and there's no like control onto the boss here. I don't think they have what it takes. That's going to be GG.
Murloc Geniuses, game number 1.
Absolutely ridiculous play there, making me even more confirmed on the side of Lily. She, everything about her, the Water Dragon, you know, it's just, she's got what it takes here. Very well done from them, and you can see their faces. I mean, those guys are very pumped. There's a lot of hype behind Denial. They have a great track record. The panelists even brought it up a bit earlier. So that was a very convincing play coming out from them already in the series.
It is, but it was their Battleground pick, so we'll see how they fare on the next one, which I know is a favorite for Denial. But at this point, we're going to hear what the analysts have to say. Kalaris, over to you.
Thank you very much, guys. All right, game number 1. Murloc Geniuses able to take it. They crafted their composition around the idea of denying what could be in a very, very committed to Illidan, and they were able to be successful there, Dunk.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised that they managed to deal with that Illidan. We saw time and time again, the Illidan just dived so far into Murloc Geniuses that they could then turn around, kill him, and then pick apart the rest of the team with those Leeming resets.
He was looking for the Leeming. That was Glau's job. He was diving, going deep for the Leeming. They orchestrated it perfectly, got a great concave around Illidan, and even in that last fight we saw, he just got evaporated, just dead instantly. Even with the Metamorphosis, the Ancestral wasn't there in time, and it's not even like it was APM being slow with it. He just died so quickly.
All right, well, let's look at some of these replays, of course, from that game to see exactly what did go down there. Obviously, Denial coming in as we thought was going to be some of the favorites here, but Murloc Geniuses, good decision-making here.
Yeah, so in this fight, Fury's actually doing a really good job zoning, but this is the strength of Denial, is these chasing long fights. You can see there's so much room for Illidan to make moves here that they do manage to chase down, get multiple kills. And this is the part of the game where we really thought Denial's team comp was strong, but then they get a kill, but K1 Pro overextends into this tower and then gets splashed by a Leeming and dies. And this is where the game starts to look shaky. We see them blow up, Leeming resets, Greymane coming out, and this is the tough part for Denial.
I think in that fight as well, something that was super important was the Water Dragon. The Water Dragon kind of causing that slow effect, very difficult to get out of there. Mosh Pit in this fight coming out, but really not too much impact. Is it something, I mean, like going into these fights, there was a slight bit of control from Denial Esports, but they never really seemed to have the kill potential behind the Illidan.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the downsides of having this Tassadar, Rhaegar, ETC, and Sylvanas isn't the highest damage hero, so the Illidan was really trying to make stuff work there.
Yep.
He was going deep into that backline, but then he would just get pressured off. The blinds mean that if he's the only damage source, it's not enough. He's not going to be able to kill his target against double healer.
And then you're kind of suffering from the, I've just got to keep myself alive because I'm not able to hit things during the blinds, therefore I'm not able to get my cooldowns back efficiently. So it's a very difficult situation for an Illidan in that, Jake.
Yeah, definitely a difficult situation there, but I also want to give a lot of props to Cattle on the side of Murlocs because, you know, he's a player who swapped roles from tank, even went to Cloud9, you know, kind of going into DPS. And since he's been doing this for a few months now, getting into that role, you know, we saw him on Greymane there. He looks so much more comfortable in that position, playing more of the flex. Sure, I'm sure we'll see him in the double warrior situation throughout the event, but his Greymane was monstrous.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say, oh, that Greymane looked good, but I think the best thing Cattle had there was a lot of discipline in holding Go for the Throat. We knew in those compositions that Murloc Geniuses had to bait the Illidan in it. They had to be like, Illidan, we're juicy, come here, Illidan, come here, Illidan. And then blinds come out, CC comes out. I mean, we saw Glowering pop the Metamorphosis in that last fight and then die in maybe 0.8 of a second after he got out of it, just because they were already, okay, concave, focus fire. So Cattle really had a lot of discipline to hold Go for the Throat and never over-engage. Because even though he had the D-Shield, he's not going to get that much work done diving the backline, so he needed to hold that to kill the Illidan with Li Ming.
Yeah, like prolonged fights or get your blow up on Illidan and then you're in a fine position. Of course, our next map will be Sky Temple. We're into the bans and picks here. Murloc Geniuses lead 1-0, and it is the ETC and the Greymane finding themselves top spots once again.
Yeah, I mean, that Greymane first pick, we've seen that over and over just today already. So going forward, I expect to continue to see a ton of that. I mean, Kerrigan, Falstad, exact same bans. So both these teams pretty comfortable with the way draft is going. No huge shakeups yet. Just going to be running it back.
Yeah, it's comfortable, but Denial, they weren't the ones getting the early support in the last series. That was actually U3 going to Murlocs pretty quickly, so they sniped that early on. Divine Mosh on the table there for Denial, but actually Murlocs, they're not going to go for that Tassadar early on. They're actually locking in the Rhaegar, so there won't be any cheeky support bans going into this, but we do see there could be that vying for control when it comes to the lane power. Zagara locked in pretty early. Zagara's risen so much ever since the change.
I mean, especially on this bigger map, surely this is going to get even more exponential power. If they're able to take down, like, towers down to the bottom and things like that, that makes that second temple phase all the more stronger, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because of the impact of those tower shots on the temples, if Zagara manages to kill the wall or even the well, then you're in a devastating position for that second temple.
We've seen Coffin on that Zagara already. He plays all styles. Like we can see him go the Maw, we can see him go the Nidus Network, we can see him doing this more of a split push style or just a full-on team brawl style. So definitely a very viable, you know, flexible pick for them.
I like that you mentioned that because it's nice now that even Nidus is an option. It's not like the most common option now because Maw is just Maw and it's fantastic. But Nidus at the moment, man.
It's cool.
Crazy.
It's a different style that provides a lot of pressure, especially with the minions doing more damage. But anyways, going to the bans, we do see the Abathur response. They want to make sure there's not any kind of crazy global presence there on the side of Murlocs.
Yeah, and Glaurung is known for that Zeratul, so Murloc banning that out. I think that's actually hinting that they're going to be going Nidus Network, because Zeratul is one of those heroes who can actually punish Zagara on that global, even though when she goes to a new lane, if Zeratul's waiting there, he will kill the Zagara in the late game.
Right.
So it makes total sense if they're planning to go Nidus and abuse that global pressure with Falstad out of the game, Abathur out of the game. There's really not many globals to contest Zagara.
Yeah. Is it, I mean, obviously them trying to go for that, maybe banning out the idea of Glaurung going for some things like that. One of the only things left there on his side could have been Illidan, but like, are there other things that Glaurung can bring to the table other than those two? Because maybe the Murloc Genius is just trying to control that position.
Well, now that we see Muradin locked in, I would expect him to be playing that Muradin. Muradin's become more of a bruiser than a tank, you know, especially since the changes to Dwarf Toss, where it no longer has the unstoppable, but it does give you that resistance when you just go forward. So I definitely think we'll see him on that hero double warrior, very prominent in this meta, but I can't see them letting Li Ming get through once more because the Li Ming Greymane was too dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, Faye just a monster on that Li Ming. I don't think...
The K1 Jaina.
The Jaina. So K1 Jaina is a classic for those of you who have not been with us long enough to know. He really popularized and made Jaina a thing in the North American meta a year ago when she was first being released and played. So he's truly a Jaina expert, and I can't wait to see him play it.
Back when I felt that she was like the best melee assassin in the game at level 20, she'd blink forward, combo everything, and just blow you up. It's like, what just happened? Why did I die?
Guys, our whole backline disappeared. Did anyone see what happened?
Help!
So obviously no more blink on Jaina. She's changed quite a bit. Ice block level 20, and she's been out of the meta for quite a while. But now that Blizzard crashes 3 times, they've given a 25% buff on that Cone of Cold. There's just a lot of power on that hero in general. So we'll see if it can work out. Obviously, with the double frontline for the control, they're going to give her the big safety bubble that she needs.
I mean, even the fact that it's 3 waves alone now provides that little bit of extra zoning.
Right.
Say, like, down towards the bottom temple, for example, the chokes are so small. Jaina has a lot of power around those locations, right?
Yeah, she could absolutely lock the enemy team into that location for a long time. I do like the Anubrak response from Murloc Geniuses. Not only does he have Dampen Magic, but the slows are not particularly effective against him because of just how good Burrow Charge is. He doesn't have to deal with walking across the map slowed. I mean, that was one of the big deals. If you're a Johanna or if you're a Sonya and you get slowed by that Jaina, you're going to get stuck. You have to walk all the way across the map. Anubrak has that huge burrow range.
Are we looking for a double warrior? No, we are not looking for a double warrior. We're looking for double support versus double warrior. All right then, Jake.
Yeah, this definitely looks like a Murloc Geniuses let's enable Grey main composition, right?
Right.
They're probably going to do the 4-1 split for the whole game if they can.
Yep.
I think they want their Zagara to be splitting with Nidus at work, causing pressure on the map that Denial's going to have to respond to because they don't have the best wave clear or any globals yet. This last spot, whatever Prismatism's hero is, it needs to be something that can deal with the Zagara or make the team fights very fast for Denial, or else they can find themselves winning team fights but losing out on the rest of the map objectives.
Yeah. Unless we saw something ridiculous like stage dive, but I don't think that's going to be a thing. I think the Mosh Pit has a lot of power behind it.
Especially with the Blizzard raining down with it. We got a lot of synergy there. But yeah, for this last pick, I mean, obviously they could go for one of those specialists. We know that they're confident in running with Zagara, or if she was available, but even just the Zool could be fine here. What are you thinking, Doug? You thinking about just might be another range, or even for the Li Ming?
I mean, they did opt to go for Tychus.
Interesting.
Which I have to say is a little unusual, given that Tychus is known as one of those tank shredders, and Murloc Geniuses only has a Nubrak here for the front line, not going to get a ton of value out of his trait. What I think he will do is deal with Zagara's split push relatively well. He's tanky, Zagara can't 1v1 him very well, and he does kill waves relatively fast. So if Tychus can keep in control of this Zagara, not let her get Nidus networks all over the map, that sort of thing, that'll be a good pick for them. But I'm a little concerned they're just going to get out-rotated and split push this game.
When you look at what Denial eSports has here, obviously it's something when you're going up against the Zagara, it's always important to control the vision, always try and deny that creep spread. Do they have a good composition for dealing with that? Is that something that's going to become a big factor here?
Well, I mean, Muradin, ETC, both those tanks are relatively good at keeping control of it. Jaina, not the greatest, because she has to use Blizzard or Cone of Cold, and those are very long cooldowns, so you don't want to use those clearing creep tumors. So I think Denial will be able to manage it, unless Murloc gets ahead. Like, if there's a bad first Shrine phase for Denial, and Murloc gets to push bottom wall with Zagara, or gets an advantage on the map, Cawthon's just going to take over.
Well, that Zagara, obviously, that's what he provides with that hero. I'm really just critical for myself in this to see how Jaina can do, right? Because she's not been in the mix. K1's been hyping her up to us. He's been just saying, yeah, Jaina's great. Like, people don't understand how hard she can hit. She does have blow up. Like you said, if you can save that Cone of Cold and Blizzard and time it all up together, even if you get the 2 crashes of Blizzard on a single target, or you're hitting 2 to 3, that adds up very quickly.
The question I have for you is Jaina more viable in a double warrior meta? Obviously, a lot of her defensive cooldowns, were moved. They were pushed towards later. Improved ice block now at level 20 now and no longer earlier. Does she thrive where you do get double warrior?
Yeah, I think so. I think that actually benefits her a lot because she has more people to set up her combos. The thing is, if you're Jaina and you waste a Blizzard, it feels really bad. It's such a long cooldown. The enemy team has a lot of room to play around that cooldown. The fact that they have ETC and Muradin who can both set up big Blizzard combos or a Ring of Frost in the mosh pit can just be devastating. So you're really looking to combo instigate someone with the combination of the CC, the hard CC to lock down within that Blizzard, and then Jaina just brings so much damage.
Yeah, because back in the day, Jaina was all about the flanking, but you would often see Jaina go for something like Sprint at level 13 just to be able to retreat after going for the big flank, and that's had to change, obviously. K1 Pro was the master of that back in the C9 days, but we'll have to see how they can do with these compositions.
All right, well, here are the rosters, and here are the heroes. Dunk Train what really stands out to you here? Are you looking for a particular playmaker on either side of these teams?
Yeah, I think this game is going to be all about Cawthon luck on Zagara.
Yep.
He is known to be a master of that hero, and I can't wait to see whether he goes Maw or Nidus and how he abuses that in this game. And then K1 Pro bringing back the Jaina. Can he do it? Can he resurrect Jaina from the dead? We have to find out.
All right, well, thank you very much, guys. We're now heading over to the commentary team to bring you game number 2. And we're not seeing Nova. She's invisible and will be for a long time in this tournament. It's going to be Gilly and Dread bringing you game 2 between Murloc Geniuses and Denial eSports.
I mean, you say that, Caleres, but we did have a Nova in qualifiers, so I guess anything is possible. Dread, what are you thinking about these drafts? I know we were a little worried about Anub.
Yeah, as the solo tank into the Jaina, essentially until he gets the epicenter and the opportunity to get the cooldown onto his burrow, he can't really use it too aggressively, and he doesn't deal well with the double warrior, so he's in a position to where he's going to be risking a lot. When he goes in, he is to be absolutely confident it's going to be a winning trade for him. But interesting thing right out the gates here to talk about is we see Corpse Feeder at level 1 on the side of this Gara. Dunk put it perfectly. She's going to have huge impact on this game, especially if they get a small early lead.
Yeah, they are trying to get that right away with her in the bottom lane. They know that she will be generally the one where she will be solo is in the bottom lane.
Juke in the mid lane. We did not capture that on screen, but a huge 1 versus 4 Juke on the side of Cattle going up while everybody went left. Will he be able to get away from this? I don't think so. So the first Juke did come into play, but it's going to cost him his life there.
Well, first blood to Denial, but at least in that, Zagara has a good setup in the bottom. She's got her creep started, which is also important for the new Zagara style. And with Corpse Feeders, kind of lends to maybe future on more of a build focused on split push, maybe even the Nidus network that we've seen from Cawthon pretty much, almost exclusively, I would say, throughout the qualifiers.
Yeah, so we see the 1-4 rotation on the side of Denial because obviously Jaina is just insane with her wave clear potential, but instead a almost 2-1-2S style on the side of Murloc Geniuses here, pairing Greymane on the bottom half with the Zagara because she is so dominant, and they've already managed to take out a turret, what is going to be a bit on the front wall as well, so they're doing very well into this first Shrine phase as it is going to be spawning here. Skirmish, personally, I feel like the early game kill potential, I think, falls on the side of Murloc's. Denial has insane lockdown, but if they don't get it, I don't know if I feel like they have the win. They have like the team fight advantage this early.
The lockdown plus the Jaina damage?
That's what they need, right? But if you can dodge that combo, or if you don't allow your opponents to have it, I feel like Tychus is their only saving grace.
One thing that will help Fury too with that combo is that he has Dampen Magic at 1. If she ends up using the whole combo on him, a lot of that damage will be negated because of that. And of course, that does pop up every 8 seconds. So that's going to be a big help for Fury, despite the fact that he is the solo warrior at Nubarak, as well as having shields from Cattle.
And this is exactly what I was talking about. Fury taking a large amount of damage there as he went into Prismat. That was only at level 4. He burrowed only like half an inch forward, it felt like, and he almost lost his life. Jaina plus Tychus, the amount of DPS they're going to be able to put into him is insane. So Tassadar really needs to be on point along with June on that Rhaegar to be able to keep his team alive. Mid shots are being traded here between both sides. Caffeine falling on the upper half here. But other than that, really, the upper hand is going to Murlocs here. They got the shrines on, shots on mid. They've won the bottom lane for the most part, which is under pressure currently. But outside of that, they have full control, it feels like.
Yeah, a full level lead too, but perfect Storm Bolt. There is one more crash, but Cawthon gets away. Not so much for the Frost Bolt though, and that'll be a kill for Denial.
Cattle is going to try and get the W out there. He does end up throwing it out, but it's not going to be able to kill the Murden because of his high health pool here. But for now, pretty even. When it comes to the shots on the bottom half here, I really feel like it's a small advantage on the side of Denial, largely because it's going to be able to get those turrets a little bit faster to give them the XP back if they win a small skirmish. It could snowball a bit harder. That's a more min-max thing than anything, and the rotations here on the side of Murloc, they are going to get the pressure on the map earlier, which with that Zag, I really like this choice from them.
Something that Denial was doing in qualifiers a lot on Sky Temple, which is their preferred battleground, is that they would prioritize top, which we saw with the first Temple phase, get their bruisers fairly early on, and then try to steal the Giants from the bottom. That's not going to be the case here, and I think they knew that that was probably going to be that way because Cawthon is so focused on the bottom lane with Zagara, and this is a big push.
Yeah, this is a huge push, and they just captured the Night Camp, showing that they have free reign over this for a short period of time. With Cawthon already doing so well in that lane, it looks like everybody is now calling to respond to this situation. That's going to be a 4 versus 4 on the bottom half. They back out. Really good job from Murlocs getting a small advantage. Yes, it was only a little bit of damage on that fort, but that kind of stuff adds up with Sky Temple, right? We know that the structural integrity is very crucial, and they've done a an awesome job really so far in this game, making sure they get as much out of every moment that they can.
The structures are your team's health.
Yes.
And so it's important when you can get those little advantages that you take a hold of them, because now if they can get a significant amount of shots from this bottom temple, they'll be able to take out the first fort there. But in the top, they've forced Cawthon to come up here to help Rhaegar. They also are holding their bruisers until the last second. They may just forego and kind of poke at this, allow Zagar to push along with the bruisers up in the top lane instead.
I don't think they're going to try and stop this. They've already given up too much. The Night Camp was taken so late, and Cawthon is such a good solo laner that for the most part I do think they're going to be giving it up. But that means that Denial is now going to be forcing the aggression on the bottom half of the map because they have so many committed. I am surprised to see they actually are going to be rotating. Murloc is sending Zagara down slowly but surely here. Half the shots already taken for Denial. Really good job on their half, but again, it comes down to the skirmish. Caffeine had to use the power slide, so the follow-up wombo between the two is not there. Glong gonna just dwarf toss out in a quick zone.
Okay, so Fury grabs the shrine. The temple is started. It is burning down the fort that they had put pressure on earlier on.
Man.
And that's going to be some shots getting Murloc Geniuses ever closer to heroic abilities.
Yeah, they do end up securing that fort. Mid fort is rather weak as well, and now that they're winning the race to 10 so significantly, they're going to be able to take this out as well. Locking in 10, Caffeine may be overextended a bit here. Does power slide out. Glorong aggressive onto the backline. They're so close. You can see, there it is. They hit the 10. Are they going to be able to force? Not going to be the case quite yet. But one thing I wanted to point out, that bottom, the reason I was kind of snickering when they just gave up the shots is the camp on top was taken so late, right? When we saw the Zagara in the rotation, they knew it was going to be a 5v5. I'm surprised that Denial stood down on bottom. If they weren't going to take that fight, why not go to clear on top as quick as possible? Get the soak on mid. They committed so many resources, it just seemed ridiculous. But now, boss, no 10 is taken for Denial quite yet. They can't take this fight there. This is desperation.
With Cawthon here, having creep right next to this too, he picked Nidus Network, which means he has basically battle momentum here. For that, it's even better than the old one because it's a full second every auto attack. And so he was diligent in spreading out the creep, going up to the top to help bruisers before that bottom tempo also helped him start to do that. So he'll be looking to split push, be all over the place. Wherever Denial is, he's going to be somewhere else pushing.
This is a huge rotation with so many people committed to the bottom half here. Really solid rotation for Murloc Geniuses here. They're now going to be threatening that top fort, and they can get away with it again because how much we see Denial on the bottom half. And again, that's going to be a lot of damage structurally. They already have a fort advantage, now a fort and a half for the time being. And as you put it, it's the health bar of your core essentially on Sky Temple here. Really good job from them. Caffeine looking to force the fight. Jaina's nowhere to be found though.
Good job by Fury, though, to stop him, throwing out Impale just to slow down enough so his team could get away. Last game, when we saw Murlocs start to get just slightly ahead, that's when we started to see some mistakes come out from Denial. Glaurung getting caught underneath the fort. If they don't want to lose 2-0 right here, they need to be patient and not let that same thing happen to them again.
I agree. Some of the patience that we kind of brought up a little bit about Naventic, not forcing the turn and things of the like, it's the exact opposite that we see the case here in this matchup. We do see a bit of an invade. Murloc has not popped the vision yet. Zagara is nowhere to be found, but keep in mind she does have the Nidus Burrow away in this situation. I think they're going to just trade shots here. They might end up using Zagara at some point, but for the most part here, trading shots is in their favor for Murloc Geniuses. Whenever you have a structural advantage, you go blow for blow, they're always gaining more value.
Having to take out a Nidus in the bottom lane. They knows that Zagara is up here at the top, maybe trying to make sure that they don't get surprised all of a sudden by that big fight, but the rest of them are just cutting up. Murloc's continuing to go up to the top two, so I think you're right, just trading it out with Muradin, Glaurung sitting in the bottom. It's the nice thing about having double warrior on Sky Temple is you can leave one warrior and know you still have a good skirmish team with the rest.
Yeah, it does put you in a pretty position knowing that you're going to be like, all right, we're fine on the shrine, because sometimes that's a question a lot of people probably don't realize is like, who do we leave on the shrine? It's a pretty tough question in some situations, but for now, trading the shots, middle fort is barely even touched on the side of Murloc Geniuses, where as they've knocking already on the keep on the upper half, almost taking out the keep turret. Really good job and a solid lead so far, but again, the XP is, this is almost identical to last game, right? XP, dead even. Team fighting has kind of gone blow for blow. But when it comes to the map objective, the structural integrity, and just kind of how the game is going, Murloc has a slight lead.
Yeah, low amount of kills too. Very respected on either side for the other team, waiting for that time to strike. And we'll see when it's going to happen, maybe over the next temple phase. But Denial do not want it to happen right now. They want to make sure they have 13, so they're on the same talent tier.
I really feel like that is a beautiful advantage for Murloc Geniuses, though, going that passive style play, because again, they have the global, they have the split pushing. It is on Denial when you pick the double warrior. you have to engage. You can't just be that passive. You cannot deal with what she provides to the map objective, especially when you've already failed so hard in the early game that you're falling behind when it comes to the structures. They're the ones who need to be aggressors here. So maybe during the next Shrine phase, they'll finally take their first step forward.
Zagara has now picked up Protective Coating at 13, which means when she's on creep, she takes 20% less damage, just helping her be more of a beast in teamfights. Though she did pick up Medusa Blades, so it's a little different from the last Zagara we saw, where it's more focused on the split push. And again, makes sense. You have Nidus, you're going to be all over the battleground, and this is a huge one to be able to have a global mobility on.
Yeah, we see the Icy Veins as well for Jaina. She's going to be able to put out a lot of damage when she activates that for the time being. The posturing on the upper half of the map here, nobody really seems to take in the fight. It's the Night Camp moving up. All right, we're going to get rid of it. We're going to get cleared. They're all waiting for that next spawn. But Fury taking a bit of damage, getting ripped apart by that Tychus. That's a 3-man mosh.
That's a huge mosh pit. They have a lot of damage behind it. There is the Draken Laser Drill. Murloc Jesus has Fury burrow charge out into the Ancestral Healing just in time. They have not taken anybody out yet, but there are still lots of stuns. Glaurung trying to chase them down and get one of them, but Uther is the first to drop.
Yeah, Uther falling down means they're going to have a bit of healing. Huge job from Psalm to be able to get that kill here. Uses Eyes in the Dark to get out of range from his opponents. Will be able to survive, and they are on the back foot here. That's another kill falling down. K1 Pro. So what was a 3-man mosh and what looked like a pretty fight, they didn't get a single kill. And now we see Murloc is able to turn it around. You can hear them screaming in the background there. Very hypey in this situation. Now onto the chase. I don't think they're going to be able to get Wall. Prismat will be one that is going to be falling down as well here for this team. Good job, though. June actually getting overextended here, and it might cost him his life. Great Tashadar shield coming out, Gilly.
Yep, June got stopped, but Cattle and Fury both trying to zone for him, and that shield will save his life. Here comes Psalm with more aggression, but Murloc Geniuses, after that chase though, still not quite getting a kill, but look at this. This whole time, Cawthon has been already moving to the bottom lane because he has the Nidus and picking up this tower. And the second temple will be grabbed too, at least a few shots from Anu.
Unless they're, I mean, if the teamfights keep going the way that we just saw them happening in that last skirmish. Oh, actually, really good rotation here from Denial. Cawthon is going to be caught out. Nobody's going to be able to help him for some time. Great body blocking coming to play here. Jaina will be in range relatively soon. Again, the body block, he will lose his life, I believe. Great Tashadar shield. The heal, the cleanse as well. Oh my goodness, he's still alive. And now it is a 4 versus 3 here on the bottom half, forcing the fight. And Noob is getting the shots on the middle half of the map. 16 tier soon to be picked up, but Murloc Genius is now trying to run away. Yeah,
distracting though, as long as they don't lose too much more. It looks like it probably will lose Cattle. There's a Hammer of Justice. There's Prescience. He's trying to juke away. Glaurung's caught him. Force wall up soon, but Ancestral Healing not quite soon enough to save Tashadar, but still, a Noob got a ton of shots during that whole long fight.
Yeah, he did get a lot of shots, which is going to give them a decent amount of value. Bottom shots will be captured, will be able to help with that middle four. Boss is now being picked up here for Denial Esports. They don't have 16 quite yet, but with the 2-man advantage they have, they're going to be able to pick this up pretty easily. I'm going to be honest, I feel like that was insanely greedy on the side of Murloc Geniuses. This game was almost in the bag. They were like, what if we get double shots, right? They have 16 tier advantage. You're threatening keeps on both sides. Your opponent is almost 2 levels behind. You just capture one, make the rotation, make sure you don't get picked. And they put themselves in a position to where now Denial has a momentum swing. If they play this properly, they really could make something happen.
I think they really thought they were going to catch Fury backing, but he was safely out of there. But Denial wants to push with the boss that they've grabbed. They know they have so much structurally to catch up, to gain ground on. Tashadar using Force Wall to allow them to get a little bit more safe attack damage on the boss before they have to deal with Denial. And they're not going to want to try to engage into this because of this death bridge.
Yeah, it's a really difficult area to try and force the team fight. Prismaticism getting Force Walled out. Now Fury looks like it's going to be under their focus, taking insane damage, but June will end up hitting the Ancestral, but that is going to be a big 3-man mosh.
3-man mosh, 2 already killed out of it, and Psalm's going to go down too, despite Tashadar shielding. Denial being able to bait Murlocs onto the bridge, then go back in with the mosh pit, knowing that they would be able to spread out away from it. Finally finding a great, they didn't even have to use the Divine Shield to make sure that the mosh pit was able to get all the kills.
Yeah, they got a lot of value there, but Giants are now threatening on the bottom half. They won't be able to get the keep because of the wave moving into play. But again, that is exactly what Murloc Geniuses needs to avoid happen if they're going to be able to secure this game. And now they are, honestly, it feels like they're struggling more. They do have more structures, which is awesome. But now with the scaling that the Shrines have, they're going to be able to knock that out and almost revert the damage advantage that they've had on the side of Murlocs already in this game, Gilly. So I don't know if Murlocs is going to be able to hold their mentality, because it does seem a bit rough now after those last 2 teamfights going in favor of Denial.
Yeah, and for Denial, mentality-wise, they finally have some momentum going. They know that they're winning these team fights and that they have this strong front line that we've seen before from Glaurung and King Caffeine. But Murlocs are starting to get back on the battleground. They're starting to push back into the lanes too, so we'll see as the next tempo is about to activate.
Yeah, this was not going to get a keep for either side, and I think whoever controls this vision is really going to have the upper hand. Fury taking a decent amount of damage, but we do see a heavy isolation onto Psalm. He's trying to back out of the situation. Glaurung as well taking a bit of poke, but for now it seems like Denial has a slight health advantage in the team fight. Actually, I believe they're falling a bit lower here, backing out June, trying to keep everybody alive, and now we see them moving up. Again, they don't control vision. That is crucial when it comes to the fight over this middle shrine. Whoever has vision typically has the upper hand because you have so many flanks and understanding of your positioning of your opponents that you can get it, but they're going to battle. They don't even care about vision. Murloc is slowly moving up because they can out-heal so far APM on that Uther.
Cawthon trying to move his creep up so that he does get the benefits from that. Glaurung getting pretty deep in the fight. Here goes Fury. They have 16. He has picked up his epicenter. Actually, he has blood for blood too, just to try to help him sustain through the damage. Caffeine going in. Divine Shield with the mosh pit hits 3 members of all of the members of Denial jumping in, but they don't kill anything.
Everybody's health bar is falling for Denial. Absolutely insane play coming up from them. That's going to be 2 people already dead. Glaurung is trying to run away as well. That's 3 people dead. And can I say shout out to June? Holy cow, that Ancestral before the mosh pit comes into play, hitting the target, not allowing anybody to die. That was insane play coming out from him already in this matchup, and now they're threatening keeps. You see them moving to the bottom half of the map with 3 people dead and only Murden up here. They could move for game.
They are. They're moving right around it. They've taken it out, starting to go in. Murden and Jaina are left. She has Water Elemental. She can try to slow them down in this and do a lot of damage. If she can combo her abilities, she could burst somebody down. 14 seconds until they're going to have people up. 10 seconds down. They get 1 kill, but Jaina goes down. Rhaegar's 2. They got a lot done with that.
That was actually a winning trade, though, still on the side of Murloc Geniuses, because they ended up going 2 for 2 in that situation with how much structural advantage they have over their opponents, and they know they're going to be able to get into the next shots. That wasn't that bad. It wasn't pretty, but it was not a bad position or trade on their half. It only gave a bit of XP to their opponents. They do now have 20 advantage. 2 keeps already going to be down. This is going to be, I believe it's going to be the 3rd as well. It will be. So now they are in an insane position. You have Nidus Network, you have level 20, and you have triple keep. That is the dream right now for Murloc Geniuses.
And with Cawthon having decreased Roach cooldown at 1, plus having the cooldowns from the creep, he just has so many minions. Plus the minions of Fury too, they have an insane amount. Look, the Mutalisk chasing people away. Again, they have a lot that they can bring to their aid in these fights, and that pushes Denial off. The rest of the shots grabbed. Level 20 here for Murloc Geniuses. Denial still a full level away.
Yeah, it's absolutely Murloc's game to lose at this point, and really it just feels like it can only happen around boss or an insane 5-man wipe. As long as they don't risk more than 3 deaths, I don't know if Denial has what it takes here in this, but they do get back out, get the Giants, gonna get pressure onto the map here. Again, it's just Murloc has to play patient. That's all they have to do. These Giants, risking any fight in this situation is not that bad because you have 20 advantage, but once your opponent picks it up, like for instance, we see Denial posturing around the boss. If they can just feign core, but they move in, that's going to be a 2-man match. The Divine Shield coming into play, Glaurung going in as well. Ancestral's going to hit 1 target, but they already get the pit.
Ancestral hit Psalm though, and they're trying to make this happen. K1 Pro is very low and had to get out of there, but this drill is burning down Fury 2. They get Jaina, so it's a 1-for-1. Psalm trying to jump out of the way, but gets into range of the Stormbolt. They've taken out 2. Uther is down, healing up the team though. And Murloc Genius is still trying to make this work, but Psalm is so far away from the rest of the team. June and Cattle trying to commit to baby the Greymane, and they're able to get there in time.
Meanwhile, at your core, we have a little bit of pressure as well. So this is a rough spot for Denial. Over the time, they're going to be losing health in the core. That's 2 for 2 or 2-for-1 trade so far. Prismac getting a lot of damage onto Psalm, but also costing his life in that situation. Caffeine going in for the power slide, not hitting anyone. Look at the core, 82%, 78%. This is going to be GG here for Murloc Geniuses, 2-0 over Denial eSports.
They just could not kill Psalm. Everything was dedicated to it. And I love that in the 2 people who were caught in the mosh, they chose to Ancestral Greymane. They were like, sorry, Zakara, we love you, but it's Psalm's time to shine. He led people on a crazy chase, but they knew that they had to just keep him alive, be able to get the resets, take him out. Look how happy these guys look. They just took out Denial, one of the top contenders for this event.
Yeah, they have an insane amount of hype behind them. It's just ridiculous to see from them because, again, we have 2 world champions on that team, specifically a couple of newer players as well, and then Glarong, who has been always known for his melee assassin style play. And to see Murloc, a team of players we've known for a long time but not that much success, come in right out the gates, 2-0 in a convincing fashion for the most part. Maybe a couple of hiccups here and there, but for the most part, they just were like, this is ours, guys. We got this. Calm down. GG's.
And I think a lot of it goes back to the synergy that we have from these players. We didn't see it maybe at all times, but the fact that Cawthon and Fury have played for a long time ago, for a really long time together, Cawthon and Cattle have a lot of synergy too. These members, even though, yes, they have June, who is new, who's at his first LAN, they have a lot of experience. They can say, like, this is great, you're with us, we have the experience, we can go. And June, man, he showed up. No,
he did. He absolutely showed up. There were so many situations where Solm was almost going to be able to die, and then he ends up getting a really beautiful pick. I mean, look at that Ancestral. That was absolutely ridiculous. The bait on that bridge, though, beautiful play for Denial. We were talking about the death bridge, but when you consider that there is no Maw, probably the mosh pit's better onto the that pit, so really good play from both of these teams. But it turns out we do have an interview with one of the winners, so TJ, take it away.
Thanks very much, guys. Right, I'm joined by Cawthon from Murloc Geniuses. A great first game that was, I think, a lot of unexpected at 2-0. People thought this was going to be the most competitive match of the day. Right off the bat, I want to talk to you about just, reforming Murloc Geniuses. About this time last year was when the team was sort of in full force, and then you guys reformed probably about a month ago. Talk to me about the reforming of the team.
For the reforming, it was just a group of friends that wanted to play together. All of them weren't happy with their situations or just recently had a bad experience with a team. And we just decided to start playing together and see who else wanted to join. We had some tryouts, and we didn't really have any grand plans. We just kind of wanted to keep playing the game, and, we all have a lot of fun with it, so we weren't ready to quit.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't be, because you guys had a good performance in that first match. I know something that a lot of people were probably wanting to hear from you. Talk to me a little bit about the Lily pick. Was this something that was planned? Where does it fit in with that specific team comp? Why did you pick that? Talk to me about Lily.
Lily, she can be really strong in the right situations. If you're playing against a team that tends to go overly aggressive to force things, she can be really good defensively to turn, counter, and play those long fights. The really laid back, long, slow fights that we're comfortable with. The Dragon build for Lily will really add up damage over time. You'll see she'll be about 90% of the other DPSers, but also add all that utility, all that blind, all that healing on top of that. It's really effective against heavy auto attack comps.
Yeah, and the full Dragon build was, it was almost like a carry Lily build, it seemed like. So it was pretty cool to see. Another question I want to ask about the team is, this is June's first LAN, and he played exceptionally in that first match. How is he sort of fitting into the team as sort of a new member? And is LAN jitters a thing, or what's going on with him?
It's definitely a thing, but he played through them really well. Normally in the hot scene, you don't have people come in and make a great showing on their first LAN, but so far so good. I mean, he's everything we've liked about him, hitting those clutch cleanses and, being in position, communicating his ults, none of that faltered, so I don't think the nerves are getting to him.
Yeah, he's playing well. Hopefully you can keep it up throughout the whole tournament. So you guys are going into the winners match next. You guys are going to play Naventic. What do you think of Naventic? They got Tomster now. What do you think going into that match?
I think that's the scariest team coming into this tournament, so we're ready to take them on, and we're really excited to be in the winners match just to get a chance to see what they're bringing right now.
All right, well, that match will be coming up next, so good luck, man. I'll let you go prep with your team. But thanks, guys. We're going to have to take a quick break before we jump into that winners match, but don't go anywhere. More Heroes of the Storm action right after this.
My name is Fan Yang. My battle tag is Fan. I'm 23 years old, and I'm from Team Naventic. The reason why I think that Team Naventic has been so successful is that we both are able to play the same style of game together very well, and we have very skilled individual players in terms of mechanics. Zuna's shot call is like a pretty aggressive style of play.
Pretty much as a shot caller, I just call down the rotations, what lanes need to happen, and just how we want to play the style and calling out targets during team fight. If one goes in, everyone goes in, so no one hesitates, even if it's a bad call or a wrong decision. As long as the whole enemy team doesn't fully commit against it, then it usually will play out.
All of us are, I would say, pretty top tier players in terms of just mechanics alone, and that allows us to kind of, win the little trades, win the 1 versus 1s, and all of that combined just leads us to be one of the top teams.
Fan's definitely one of the strong players in the NA scene.
I think that I've been one of the most consistent players, which is why people say that about me. But I think that all of the top North American players are pretty close in skill level.
I definitely think that Noventic's the strongest team in NA at the moment, with GFE and Cloud9 not being here anymore, and GFE being a little unstable, losing to PBA. So we should be able to beat everyone here.
Right now is a very interesting time because one of the biggest roster apocalypse has just hit North American teams. So everyone is really shuffled around and everyone's really excited to show what they got and see how good their new teams are. I'd say we're just as excited to show that we can still hold that #1 spot, and I'm looking forward to that.
For this tournament, we definitely need to come out as just the victors, just need to win the whole thing. Doesn't matter how many losses we get playing, we just need to come out with a W at the end of it.
Only the first place is going to qualify for BlizzCon, and yeah, nothing else other than first will leave us fulfilled.